Shalom, it's day 110 of Read the Bible in a Year, and we are in 2 Kings, reading chapters 16, 17, and 18. All right, so it shouldn't take too long. We'll see. 18 is a little bit of a longer chapter, so is 17 really. Anyways, here we go. In the 17th year of Pekah, son of Remaliahu, Ahaz, son of Jotham, sovereign of Judah, began to reign. Ahaz was 20 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. And he did not do what was right in the eyes of Yahweh his Elohim, as his father David had done. But he walked in the way of the sovereigns of Israel, and he also made his son pass through the fire, according to the abominations of the nations whom Yahweh had dispossessed from before the children of Israel. And he slaughtered and burned incense on the high places and on the hills and under every green tree. Then Rezin, sovereign of Aram, and Pekah, son of Remaliahu, sovereign of Israel, came up to Jerusalem to battle, and they besieged Ahaz, but were unable to overcome him. At that time, Rezin, sovereign of Aram, recovered Elath for Aram and drove the men of Judah from Elath. And the Edomites went to Elath and have dwelt there to this day. And Ahaz sent messengers to Tiglath-Pileser, sovereign of Asher, saying, I am your servant and your son. Come up and save me from the hand of the sovereign of Aram and from the hand of the sovereign of Israel, who were rising up against me. And Ahaz took the silver and the gold that was found in the house of Yahweh and in the treasuries of the house of the sovereign, and sent it as a present to the sovereign of Asher. And the sovereign of Asher listened to him, and the sovereign of Asher went up against Damasek and captured it, and exiled it to Kir, and he killed Rezin. And sovereign Ahaz went to meet Tiglath-Pileser, sovereign of Asher, at Damasek, and saw a slaughter place that was at Damasek. And sovereign Ahaz went to Uriah the priest, sent to Uriah the priest a sketch of the slaughter place and its pattern according to all its workmanship. And Uriah the priest built a slaughter place according to all the sovereign Ahaz had sent from Damasek. And Uriah the priest made it before sovereign Ahaz came from Damasek. And when the sovereign came from Damasek, the sovereign saw the slaughter place, and the sovereign approached the slaughter place and made offerings on it. And he burned his ascending offerings and his grain offering, and he poured his drink offering and sprinkled the blood of his peace offerings on the slaughter place. And the bronze slaughter place, which was before Yahweh, he brought from the front of the house, from between the new slaughter place and the house of Yahweh, and put it on the north side of his slaughter place. And sovereign Ahaz commanded Uriah the priest, saying, on the great slaughter place burn the morning ascending offering and the evening offering, and the sovereign's ascending offering, and his grain offering, with the ascending offering of all the people of the land, and with their grain offering and their drink offerings, and sprinkle on it all the blood of the ascending offering and all the blood of the slaughtering. And the bronze slaughter place is for me to inquire by. And Uriah the priest did according to all the sovereign Ahaz commanded. And sovereign Ahaz cut off the side panels of the stands and removed the basins from them. And he took down the sea from the bronze oxen that were under it and put it on a pavement of stones. And the covered way which they had built the house of the Sabbath, in the house of the Sabbath, and the sovereign's outer entrance. And he took from the house of Yahweh because of the sovereign of Asher. And the rest of the acts of Ahaz which he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Judah? So Ahaz slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. And Hizkiyahu, his son, reigned in his place. In the 12th year of Ahaz, sovereign of Judah, Hoshea, son of Elah, began to reign over Israel in Shomron for 9 years. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahweh, but not as the sovereigns of Israel who were before him. Shalmaneser, sovereign of Asher, came up against him, and Hoshea became his servant and rendered him a present. But the sovereign of Asher found a conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So, sovereign of Mitzrayim, and had not brought a present to the sovereign of Asher as year by year. And the sovereign of Asher shut him up and bound him in prison. And the sovereign of Asher went through all the land and went up to Shomron and besieged it for 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the sovereign of Asher captured Shomron and exiled Israel to Asher and settled them in Halah and Habor, the river of Gozan. I'm sorry, I just realized we're in chapter 17, now entering into verse 7. We're in verse 6. Asher captured and exiled Israel to Asher and settled them in Halah and Habor, the river of Gozan, and the cities of the Medes. Verse 7. Now this came to be because the children of Israel had sinned against Yahweh their Elohim, who had brought them up out of the land of Mitzrayim from under the hand of Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, and feared other mighty ones, and walked in the laws of the nations whom Yahweh had dispossessed from before the children of Israel, and of the sovereigns of Israel that they had made. When the children of Israel secretly did against Yahweh their Elohim matters that were not right, and they built for themselves high places in all their cities, from watchtower unto the walled city, and set up for themselves pillars and asherim on every high hill and under every green tree, and burned incense there on all the high places, like the nations whom Yahweh had removed from their presence, and they did evil matters to provoke Yahweh. Oh man, and served idols, of which Yahweh had said to them, do not do this. Every time it goes bad for them, man, they're worshiping other gods. Every time. If you just pay attention, the Father's pretty lenient until they start worshiping other gods. Oh. He's straight up, all throughout the Torah. Do not do as the nations do. I mean, you even see it in all the prophets. Anyways, verse 13. Yahweh warned Israel and Judah through all of his prophets. See, there you go. He warned them through all of his prophets and every seer, saying, turn back from your evil ways and guard my commands and my laws according to all the Torah which I commanded your fathers. Turn your hearts back to me. It is good for you to keep my commands. It's good to not worship other gods, to keep my Sabbath, to honor your father and mother, to not commit adultery, to not steal, lie, murder, so on and so forth. It's good for you to not do these things, and you are living a life preceded by worshiping other gods that just creates abominations. My goodness. I wonder why the people get, wonder why the Father gets pissed, you know? Anyways. Let's see, let's finish verse 13 here. I commanded your fathers, and which I sent to you by my servants, the prophets. But they did not listen and hardened their necks like the necks of their fathers who did not put their trust in Yahweh their Elohim. Okay, see right there. I am in the midst of Revelation, doing a study and all that, and that's coming. But you see all of the trumpets and the plagues and things coming, and Yeshua, he's in the clouds with great power and glory. And the messengers are sounding their trumpets and all of that, and you know, a third of the green trees are burned up, all the grass is burned up, there's darkness, there's locusts coming out of the deep, you know, and torturing mankind for 5 months. And after each trumpet it says, but they refused to repent. They refused to repent. They hardened their necks like the necks of their fathers who did not put their trust in Yahweh, their Elohim. Just a side note. Man, you just look at it. The Father, his heart's got to be broken right now. He doesn't need us, but he does love us. How many times have we just turned aside from him and his ways? Verse 15. We rejected his laws and his covenant that he made with their fathers and his witnesses, which he had witnessed against them, and went after worthlessness, and became worthless, and after the nations who were all around them, of whom Yahweh had commanded them commanded them not to do like them. And they left all the commands of Yahweh their Elohim, and made for themselves a molded image, 2 calves, and made an Asherah, and bowed themselves to all the hosts of the heavens, and served Baal, and caused their sons. Have they not they have clearly forgotten Elijah. Elisha's dead at this point, but they have clearly forgotten the God that answers by fire. Let him be God. The 450 prophets of Baal. Are you kidding me? Like, short-minded people. We can't be short-minded. Especially in these days. Because Yeshua, he's going to return. He's going to return soon. It's not this video. Let's see. And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire. This is not good. And practiced divination and sorcery, and sold themselves to evil in the eyes of Yahweh to provoke him. So Yahweh was very enraged with Israel, and moved them from his presence. None was left but the tribe of Judah alone. Judah also did not guard the commands of Yahweh their Elohim, but walked in the laws of Israel, which they made. It's different. You're going to walk in man-made laws, or the laws of the Father, which are intrinsic in value and only good for you to do. They've never changed. And he says it is not too hard for you to even keep these. It's not hard. It's not too hard for you. They're very simple. They're very straightforward. I'm getting frustrated. Let's see, in verse 20, And Yahweh rejected the seed of Israel and afflicted them and gave them into the hand of plunderers until he had cast them out of his presence. For he tore Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam, son of Nebat, sovereign. And Jeroboam drove Israel from following Yahweh and made them commit a great sin. And the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam which he did, and they did not turn away from them, until Yahweh removed Israel from his presence, and he spoke by all his servants and prophets. So Israel was exiled from their land to Asher, as it is to this day. And the sovereign of Asher brought people from Babel, and from Cutha, and from Avah, and from Hamath, and Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Shomeron instead of the children of Israel. And they took possession of Shomeron and dwelt in its cities. And it came to be at the beginning of their dwelling there that they did not fear Yahweh, and Yahweh sent lions among them, which were killing among them. And they spoke to the sovereign of Asher, saying, the nations whom you have removed and placed in the cities of Shomeron do not know the right ruling of the Elohim of the land. And he sent lions among them, and see, they are slaying among them, because they do not know the right ruling of the Elohim of the land. And the sovereign of Asher commanded, saying, send one of the priests whom you have exiled from there to go there. Let him go and dwell there, and let him teach them right ruling of the Elohim of the land. And one of the priests whom they had exiled from Shomeron came and dwelt in Bethel, and taught them how to fear Yahweh. But every nation was making mighty ones of its own, and put them in the houses of the high places which Shomeronim had made. Shomeronim is the people of Shomeron. Every nation in the cities where they dwelt. And the men of Babel made Sukkot Benoth, and the men of Cuth made Nergal, and the men of Hamath made Ashima. And the Avats made Nibhaz, and Tartak, and the Sepharvites burned their children in fire to Adramelech and Anamelech, the mighty ones of Sepharim. They burned their children in fire. They were wicked. They were fearing Yahweh, and they were serving their own mighty ones according to the ruling of the nations from among whom they had been exiled. To this day they were doing according to the former rulings. They are not fearing Yahweh, nor do they follow their laws, nor their right rulings, or the Torah, and the command which Yahweh had commanded Israel of Jacob, whose name he made Israel, with whom Yahweh had made the covenant and commanded them, saying, do not fear other mighty ones, nor bow down to them, or serve them, nor slaughter to them. But Yahweh brought you up from the land of Mitzrayim with great power and with an outstretched arm. Him you shall fear, and to him you shall bow yourselves, and to him you shall slaughter, and guard to do forever the laws and the right rulings and the Torah and the command which he wrote for you. And do not fear other mighty ones. And see, it says right there in verse 37, and guard to do forever. See, because many of these laws and commands written in the Torah, a lot of churches teach that that the commands are done away with. And that is scripturally in error. It's not that the commands are done away with, it's that the curse that comes upon man by transgressing the commands, transgression or sin is transgression of the law, right? To not obey. And by living a life such as these men live, these people, by living that kind of life, there is a curse that comes upon mankind. And we see it. The Father brings lions into the midst of the people and they just start killing. Why? Because the Father allowed them to. Why? Because they refuse to keep and obey the commands of the Most High, and they worship other gods. So when it says this is and guard to do forever the laws, and the Torah says these are a law forever throughout all your generations, forever. Forever is not just a play word. It means something. It's never going to pass away. And it's unfortunately taught that the law has passed away, but it's not that the law has passed away. Only the curse of the law. I said in a video the other day, it's like the law of gravity. If I hold this pin up, the law of gravity is going to take effect. If then its ramification, I let go, the pin falls, right? If you transgress the law, it leads to further transgression, which is sin, which ultimately leads to death. It's the law of sin and death. The Torah is not the law of sin and death, which many people teach, talking about that out of the book of Romans, but they twist it to their own demise, like Peter said. It's that the Torah is righteousness forever for all men who would keep it, but it is not that we gain righteousness for keeping it, because we only gain righteousness through our belief that Yeshua is the one and only begotten Son of the Most High Living God, that he died, he was buried, he resurrected, he came back on the third day after being in the belly of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights, waited 40 days, he exposed himself to his disciples into the world and then ascended into heaven. By that belief, we are made righteous. And then out of that belief should perpetuate love. And from that love, we obey, right? So, with that said, it is a law forever. Guard to do the forever the laws and the right rulings and the Torah and the command which he wrote for you, to do not fear other mighty ones. Fear Elohim only. Fear Yahweh. He is the creator of the universe. Those other gods, they can't talk, they can't speak, they can't answer with fire. They can't do anything for you. But fear Yahweh your Elohim, so that he delivers you from the hand of all your enemies. And they did not obey, but did according to their former ruling. So these nations were fearing Yahweh and served their carved images, both their children and their children's children, as their fathers did. They are doing this to this day. Oh, I hate it. I hate reading this. I hate it. All right, chapter 18. Turns out this is going to be a little bit longer just because I wanted to talk. So here we are. Chapter 18. And it came to be in the 3rd year of Hosea, son of Elah, sovereign of Israel, that Hezekiah, son of Ahaz, sovereign of Judah, began to reign. And he was 25 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Abi, daughter of Zechariah. And he did what was right in the eyes of Yahweh, according to all that his father David did. He took away the high places and broke the pillars and cut down the Asherah and broke to pieces the bronze serpent which Moshe had made until those days. And the children of Israel burned incense to it and called it Nehushtan. He put his trust in Yahweh Elohim of Israel, and after him was none like him among all the sovereigns of Judah, nor who were before him. And he clung to Yahweh. He did not turn away from following him, but guarded his commands, which Yahweh had commanded Moshe. And Yahweh was with him wherever he went, and acted wisely. And he rebelled against the sovereign of Asher, and did not serve him. He struck the Philistines as far as Azah and its borders, from watchtower unto the walled city. And it came to be in the 4th year of sovereign Hizkiyahu, which was the 7th year of Hoshea, son of Elah, sovereign of Israel, that Shalmaneser, sovereign of Asher, came up against Shomeron and besieged it. And they captured it at the end of 3 years. And in the 6th year of Hizkiah, that the 9th year of Hoshea, sovereign of Israel, Shomeron was captured. And the sovereign of Asher exiled Israel to Asher and placed them in Halah and Habor, the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes, because they did not obey the voice of Yahweh their Elohim, but transgressed his covenant, all that Moshe the servant of Yahweh had commanded, and they did not obey nor do them. And in the 14th year of sovereign Hizkiyahu, Sanherib, sovereign of Asher, came up against all the walled cities of Judah and captured them. And Hizkiah, sovereign of Yehuda, sent the sovereign of Asher at Lachish, saying, I have done wrong. Turn away from me. I shall bear whatever you impose on me. And the sovereign of Asher imposed on Hizkiah, the sovereign of Judah, 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. And Hizkiah gave him all the silver that was found in the house of Yahweh and the treasuries of the sovereign's house. At that time Hizkiah cut off the doors of the Hekal of Yahweh and the doorposts which Hizkiah, sovereign of Yehuda, had overlaid, and gave it to the sovereign of Asher. And the sovereign of Asher sent the Tartan and the Rabsaris and the Rabshakeh from Lachish with a great army against Jerusalem to sovereign Hizkiyahu. And they went up and came to Jerusalem. They had come up, and they came and stood by the channel of the upper pool, which was in the highway to the launderer's field. And they called to the sovereign, and Eliakim, son of Hilkiyahu, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joas, son of Asaph, the recorder, came out to them. And the Rabshakeh said to them, Please say to Hizkiyahu, Thus said the great sovereign, the sovereign of Asher, which is trust in which you have trusted. What is the trust in which you have trusted? You have spoken of the counsel of strength for battle, but they are only words of the lips. And in whom do you trust, that you rebel against me? Now look, you have put your trust in the staff of this crushed reed, Mitzrayim, on which if a man leans, it shall go down into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, to all who trust in him. But when you say to me, we trust in Yahweh our Elohim, is it not he whose high places and whose slaughter places Hizkiyahu is taken away, and said to Judah and Jerusalem, bow yourselves before the slaughter place in Jerusalem. And now I urge you, give a pledge to my master the sovereign of Asher. Then I give to you 2,000 horses if you are able to put riders on them. How do you turn back the face of one commander of the least of my master's servants and trust in Mitzrayim for chariots and horsemen? Have I now come up without Yahweh against this place and destroyed it, or to destroy it? Yahweh said to me, go up against this land, and you shall destroy it. Then said Eliakim, son of Hilkiyahu, and Shebna, and Joah to the Rabshakeh, please speak to your servants in Aramaic, for we understand it, and do not speak to us in the language of Judah, in the ears of the people on the wall. And the Rabshakeh said to them, has my master sent me to your master to you to speak these words, and not to the men sitting on the wall to eat their own dung and drink their own urine with you? And the Rabshakeh stood and called out with a loud voice in the language of Judah, and spoke and said, hear the word of the great sovereign, the sovereign of Asher. Thus said the sovereign, do not let Hizkiyahu deceive you, for he is unable to deliver you out of his hand, and do not let Hizkiyahu make you trust in Yahweh, saying, Yahweh shall certainly deliver us, and this city is not given into the hand of the sovereign of Asher. Do not listen to Hizkiyahu, for thus said sovereign of Asher, make peace with me by a present, and come out to me, and let each of you eat from his own vine and from his own fig tree, and each of you drink the waters of his own cistern, until I come. Then I shall take you away to a land like your own land, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of olive trees and honey, and live and not die. But do not listen to Hizkiyahu when he misleads you, saying, Yahweh shall deliver us. Has any of the mighty ones of the nations at all delivered its land from the hand of the sovereign of Asher? Where are the mighty ones of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the mighty ones of Sepharvaim and Hena and Iwa? Did they deliver Shomeron from my hand? Who among all the mighty ones of the lands delivered their land out of my hand, that Yahweh should deliver Jerusalem from my hand? But the people were silent and did not answer him a word, for the command of the sovereign was, do not answer him. And Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah, son of Asaph, the recorder, came to Hizkiyahu with their garments torn, and they reported to him the words of the Rabshakeh. All right. That's 2 Kings 16 through 18. Shalom.